Hi everyone, it's Jamie here, Jamie Brewster's Musical Heroes. Something a bit different today, guys. We've got an interview with Chris Anderson of Crayola Lectern, UK band, with a recent new album. Very interesting music, hope you like it. We're going to play a little bit of the latest single. The album came out in August this year, and then we'll be talking to Chris himself. So here we go, some music first. Okay, guys, now we'll be talking to Chris. Here we go. Good morning, Chris.
Hello.
Okay, guys, that was Crayola Lectern's latest single, Disasternoon, following the title of the album that the band released. I think it was August, wasn't it, Chris? Tell me about that.
Yeah, mid-August. Yeah, it came out eventually. It's
Fantastic.
been a long time in the offing. I've
Yeah.
been working on it for quite a long time, going through different stages of liking it, hating it, losing faith in it, regaining faith in it, liking it again, loving
Wow.
it, hating it, and liking it again, and then releasing it.
That is an amazing tapestry of story. I mean, how do you hate something like that? I guess you get so intense, it fills you up, does it? Your head and
I think listening to things objectively is really difficult when you're doing your own stuff. Um, there's a lot of things that I like to be avoiding, sort of like I don't, as a man of a certain age, I like to avoid some of the tropes associated with that.
mm,
I'm quite privileged in many ways in that I've got the ability to do it.
mm,
Um, and so it's a sort of really it's not a happy album, but at the same time, you don't want it to be a needy album or something like that. It's just a sort of a trying to keep something as a sort of fairly honest expression
yeah,
whilst maintaining a level of entertainment,
yeah,
um, and not having it all about me, me, me. It's sort
yeah,
of about the wider world, and luckily
mm,
the themes, because it took so long to do, the themes that I was writing about became universal because of the situation we were all in with the pandemic and everything. So
mm,
if you're writing about isolation, loss, all of those kind of things, it's something we've now all got in common. So
yeah,
I think that kind of did it a favor in a way. So it felt like almost a celebration of these things that
yeah,
everybody goes through. And it's like the celebration being the fact that we're all in it together, even though we're all essentially very much alone.
yeah. And in a way, after the pandemic, I don't know whether it did us a lot of favors in terms of community or not really. Some people say, oh, now people do their own thing more. Other people say, "Oh no, I keep an eye on my neighbour." So there's a sort of a bit of a difference of opinion there. But I think certain things a lot changed during and after the pandemic. I think, and I know a number of artists struggled, but also recorded at that time. Home recordings or whatever. Tell me where your where did your music start, Chris, as a young person?
Piano lessons. Mum singing to me when I was really little.
Lovely,
Apparently, that was quite soothing.
lovely.
Um, and um, and then I was fiddling around on their piano, and they kind of figured that it might be worth making it, giving it some form.
Okay.
So I had piano lessons, and I think I started that. It was in school when I was like 5, And I had a
Amazing.
lovely piano teacher called Mrs. Elliott, and then Miss Benham. They were great. It was they spotted that I could play by ear, really, kind of like without thinking about it,
Really good.
um, and sort of encouraged that and taught me, what notes look like and
Okay.
how to read the basic ones. So yeah, it was a nice, gentle sort of dip into the. So the piano never had any mystery for me, and I think
Hmm.
right up until I was in my 20s, I it didn't occur to me that everybody else couldn't do the things that I do on a piano.
Right.
I never thought I was very good at the piano
Mhm.
because my cousins were very prodigious, sort of as children on the piano. They were amazing
Okay.
classical reading musicians, and so I sort of because I couldn't read as well as they could. I mean, they were incredible people. They still are, and so I kind of always had a sort of sense that I probably wasn't that good, because I was thinking about it the wrong way. It doesn't matter if you're good or not. What matters is what you can express and whether it's worth expressing and how you do that. And being yourself and not comparing yourself to other things, because that's the death of creativity. So,
Wow, yeah, for sure. And
but yeah,
this was in Bedfordshire, was it? This is where you were brought up, wasn't it?
yeah, Bedford itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And you had a bit of a traumatic experience which changed your sort of direction a little bit, didn't it, Chris, when you had a bit of a bad experience?
Well, the day after I passed my driving test, I was talking about the car crash.
Yeah.
I had a head-on collision with a lorry
Oh,
because I wasn't really looking where I was going properly. Rookie error, literally, and looking down at not focused on what I was doing, pulling away from a roundabout. I got up to about 40 on a sort of sweeping bend, and the oncoming lorry was doing 60, and I just remember looking up, and as I looked up, the word Volvo was
mm.
right in front of me, and it just went, "Oof," and
Oh,
that was that was that.
Lord. Oh, my Lord.
If there'd been somebody in the passenger seat, they would have been impaled on the stalk that holds the ceiling up between the bonnet and the thing because it got ripped down and into the passenger seat. So yeah, quite surprising that I did survive with relatively unscathed, a tiny fracture in the skull and lots of bits of glass, tiny fragments of glass all over me, in my eyes and stuff. And got to the hospital, and the doctor had these really long tweezers, and he was pulling
That's me.
glass out of my eyes. But because I was so shocked, I've had this sense of elation. Um, and it didn't freak me out that someone was pulling glass out of my eyes. It was just the weirdest thing. I felt amazing. Uh, I wouldn't do it again.
No, you
Uh,
wouldn't recommend it then to get some elation. You wouldn't say go and have an accident like that. Not
yeah,
really.
it kind of changed my life path a little bit, I think, because
Mm,
up until then, I thought, I was just going to kind of follow a. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to ride a motorbike. That's pretty well all I wanted to do. And
lovely.
the police seemed like a way of doing that. And I
Mm,
was thinking, well, maybe I'll join the police and ride a motorbike.
yeah, nice one.
But as it was, I thought after this, no, I don't want to do that. I want to. Why did I ever want to do that?
No.
So I started kind of living my life as if I had died in the crash, and then made a new decision as to what this new outcome was going to be. A bit of it, I think a lot of people have suffered as a result of that decision.
Oh, do you? Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I think when you focus on, I mean, it wasn't a
Yeah.
kind of a split decision there and then. It was a slow
Mhm.
morphing of sort of my character, and I think who I sort of became. my
Hmm.
priorities changed.
Okay.
So like everything from the age of 17 onwards has been a bonus. This is
Yeah.
the life I could have lived.
Yeah, for sure.
And I am living because I am actually still alive.
Yeah, for sure. And you also had some didn't you have some big band experience with playing sax? Was that something you did?
Yeah. I think the first musical sound of instruments that I really liked was the close sax harmonies in
Mm,
Glenn Miller arrangements.
okay.
Not just Glenn Miller, but and yeah, the sort of and there was a vocal band in the 70s when I was growing up called Manhattan Transfer,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
and the vocal harmonies that they did were
Yeah.
very reminiscent of what saxophones do in big bands.
Okay.
And I just loved it. It was kind of like velvet,
Yeah.
and the tone of the saxophone. I didn't know what they were called because I was just still quite little. I just knew they were these S-shaped
Yeah.
gold instruments,
Mm,
but I was sort of a bit obsessed about them. And then luckily, one of the teachers at school, there was a saxophone there, and they let me use it, and he started teaching me it. So I started learning that. And of course, it was way easier than the piano because
yeah.
I only had to play one note at a time, whereas on a piano, you're playing up to 10, and then you might be holding some of them on and playing different ones with other fingers. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, the saxophone was a doddle. Except obviously you've got to control it. You've got to control your embouchure and,
Mm.
create a nice tone. But I never really focused too heavily on that. I was too busy playing the notes.
Did you take that forward into, playing in a band or anything like that, or not?
I played quite a lot of sax in bands, yeah,
Okay.
over the years. I played in a big band at school.
Okay.
We actually had a dance band, and it was that dance band that I used to stand outside and look at them through this big window and kind of hero worshipped the lead alto sax player who was sort of in the sixth form and I was in the kind of like third form or something. I thought
Okay.
I'm going to be like him.
Great.
But and so I ended up sitting next to him, and it was a bit disappointing actually because he kept telling me off my saxophone was out of tune. I
Okay.
was a bit flat. I thought it sounded great. It sort of sounded like Laurel and Hardy. It had this kind of like lovely sort of vibe to it, and
Okay.
but he was a bit more play it in tune.
Okay.
Of course, he was
Oh
right.
well. And did you sing in a choir as well? Is that something you did?
Yeah, there was between all of the schools in Bedford, a lot of the schools, and some of the teachers and parents and people, there was a 250 voice
Oh,
choral society, and
excellent.
I was sort of nominally the leader of that. And we
Wow.
had there was a composer who was in residence at one of the schools called John Taverner,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
he wrote a piece for the big choir to sing along with the Phoenix Orchestra in Bedford,
Remarkable.
and it was quite challenging because at the time he was he's kind of known as being kind of quite into his sacred music, fairly
Absolutely.
minimalist,
Yeah.
lots of overtones and lovely
Mm.
stuff, a bit
Yeah.
Arvo Part-esque in places. But at this point, he was going through a completely different sort of phase. He was really into the sort of atonal side of things, or so it appeared to my mind at the time. It was a bit of a baptism of fire because a lot of us were quite young. We weren't used to these unusual intervals,
Hmm.
and they weren't sort of necessarily kind of nice unusual intervals like the augmented fourth, the devil's interval and stuff like that, although there were a few of them
Okay.
chucked in there.
Hmm.
But they were sort of hard to find the notes because it was such an interval that you've never even considered before, and it was like from one note to this other one, really, that note, we got to sing that note after that note, why? um, and he also wrote it in ancient Greek alphabet. So he was kind of, I think there's a bit of passive aggressiveness going on somehow. Like, come on, you sod. Anyway, so we did a concert Bedford Corn Exchange with the Phoenix Orchestra. And my memory of it is being quite an underwhelming
Uh-huh.
experience. I couldn't tell you if it was any good or not. I just remember myself thinking, oh, it's a bit,
Okay. Yeah.
is this right? Are these even the right notes that everybody's singing? You
Oh,
know?
yeah. Well, and choir, you can be in a choir and you think, hang on a minute, we're still not all singing the right part. I used to sing in Bath Male Choir, Granville Jones, and I think he did discipline us quite a bit. You can go in, I'm in the little local Spanish choir here, and you sort of think, hang on a minute, the tenors are all singing something different.
Yeah, so it's sort of how it felt. It was sort of like, I think he was going through his personal experimental phase.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
all for experimental stuff, you know. I mean, I've had my moments with your Stockhausens and your,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
but it's not the sort of thing you can listen to for pleasure. It's very
Yeah.
cerebral. It's very sort of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, this is very interesting note. I wonder what made them
Very
choose this.
interesting, but stupid. But it's stupid. Um, and what was I going to ask you? What was the name of the piece that you were? Can you remember?
Translated, it was called Risen,
Okay.
like
Risen.
bread, Risen,
Okay.
Risen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's spiritual, isn't it? I guess
Yeah.
spiritual stuff. So let's get back. So what about band then? Starting into bands. What was your first, and what did you do? Where
Well,
was
we
that?
had a group of us sort of like used to meet up when we were like 13 or 14 in Bedford. This guy, um, a couple of guitarists and drummer, which meant that they didn't have a bass player. So Kay's catalogue, no, was it? Oh, one of the catalogues
Yeah.
had a bass made by a company called Kay, um, and I got a Kay bass uh, for like I think they were like 48 quid as far something like that. It was
Okay.
and a Laney practice amp, and then we used to just go to this guy's garage and rehearse in there,
Okay.
and um, and we were listening in those days to lots of Neil Young, Lou Reed, Jimi Hendrix, uh, Cream,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay.
But I had also been massively into two-tone and all of that before that. But but I think our capabilities were more in line with Neil Young and Lou Reed, kind of like we were learning how to play songs and chords. Specials and Madness were a bit advanced for us.
Yeah, but still, the best bands start in a little garage somewhere, don't they? Often, you started in a garage or someone's
Mm.
spare room or something, and then there it goes. It's like little business starts in a garage. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was in a garage. I remember there was a girl who lived on another street, and she came round and complained because it was quite loud. And that was
Okay.
she lived a fair distance away. I mean,
Okay.
so poor neighbours, I guess. But
Yeah. At least yeah. Well, at least you got some reaction anyway. Whatever. But
well,
did
we
you?
played a gig at the Mosbury Park Golf
Oh,
Club
yes.
Variety
Oh, yeah.
Christmas performance. So they had kind of I don't know what they had, sort of just a variety of different things, and
Hmm.
somehow we ended up playing there to these kind of very sort of provincial
Yeah.
family type audience,
Yeah.
and all the songs. We didn't do this on purpose, but all of the songs we played were about drugs. We played The Needle and the Damage Done, and we played Cocaine, um, and we played Purple Haze.
Oh,
So there's three fairly
hmm.
strong drugs. It didn't occur to us at all that that might be sort of not sort of smiled upon.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, we played the songs, those three. I think there might have been another one.
Okay.
Tales of Brave Ulysses or something,
Oh,
something by
I don't think I
Green.
know that one. What was the reaction? Did you get much?
I
Do you
can't
remember?
really remember. I don't
Don't
think
remember,
it
no.
was. Yeah, we did a gig after that to a bunch of real punks in a place in Cranfield. And I remember the bassist of the Passions was there, who
Okay.
did I'm in Love with a German film star. Um, and that was been in the charts at the time. And we were really sort of wow. But these punks, they were proper punks with the
Yeah.
proper hair and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was in a kind of scout hut, but it was a fanzine thing that was running it. The fanzine was called Premature.
Hmm.
And and there we were with the lead guitarist, sort of like still in Hendrix mode, lying on the floor in the audience, with all these punks sort of wondering whether they should be spitting at us or not. But I think because we were so young and naive, they were really kind to us. They sort of, I don't know if they were taking the piss, but we got a lot of, they
Nice
loved
one.
it. They appeared to love
Excellent. I love it. Did you,
it.
when did you leave Bedfordshire?
I
You,
went to Middlesex Poly when I was 18, so that would have been 1985.
okay,
So I went
85.
to North London
Yeah.
at that point.
We lived in Flitwick for a while.
No, I had a girlfriend in Ampthill.
Yeah, we were in Flitwick.
Oh, you were in Flitwick, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
no,
about a year, I think. We were in Luton. Oh dear. Used to work
yeah,
for Whitbread Brewery when that still existed. But yeah, then Flitwick was quite nice in a way.
yeah, no, Flitwick is it's one of those kind of it's on the train thing, isn't it? If you're
Yeah,
going to Bedford from,
that's right.
yeah, I've stopped in Flitwick. I've had friends around there, but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ampthill, I spent more
Until
time in
until yeah, yeah,
Henlow and places like that.
yeah, for sure. So then you moved to North London. What were
Mm.
you do? So what brought money in for? What were you doing as a, as a job?
Well, I was a student, so I had a student grant,
Okay.
and I was a gardener, and I was a barman, and some of this was all at the same time, and I was a bouncer in the West End.
Blimey.
I was a bouncer at the Limelight and also at the Fridge in Brixton.
Goodness me.
Uh, there's a few stories from those days, uh, some pretty horrid ones. I
Oh,
did kick Rupert Everett out of the Limelight.
what? Was
Oh,
you up by the scruff of the neck and just marched him out, sort of thing? Or
it was, yeah. I had to get him down from the VIP bar where he was being naughty. But there were lots of, obviously there were a lot of celebrities and stuff, and
hmm,
it was quite, it was all right. I was only 19. Sometimes I wasn't letting under 21s in.
excellent. So, so tell me, so what happened? So you're studying then. So what did you end up with in terms of qualification?
I got a BA 2 honours degree. No, not BA, BSc in psychology.
Okay,
So that's what I walked out with, psychology.
excellent. Okay, and
Um,
what were your plans?
well, at that by then I was just playing music really.
Okay,
And, plans. I didn't have a career plan
no,
because when you're doing music, you have to have blind faith that that's going to carry you into wherever you're going.
yeah, for sure.
So the blind faith was carrying me along, and
Brilliant.
occasionally it looked like things were going amazingly well, and then of course something terrible would happen, and then that would be pulled out from under you. So
Yeah,
you just keep going along, you try and stay on an even keel, just keep doing it, keep being out there, doing the thing with your friends, enjoying your life as much as you can. We
yeah.
were lucky, we could live in squats in those days. We
Hmm.
didn't have to, nowadays, if you want to be in a band, you go to a university to be in a band now because it's kind of the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Because, when I was doing it, rent wasn't quite as a pressing thing.
Mm.
Uh, or shared houses, but rents were cheaper. Um, it was possible to do things which I think, being young now, it's really hard to get
Yeah,
to do that stuff.
yeah, very much
If
so.
you if you're on the breadline, you just don't get to do it full stop.
No, no.
So I kind of feel lucky. That's kind of what I mean by privilege. I'm kind of glad that
Mm,
I had the opportunity to do all that experimenting in these different groups, have all
excellent.
those different experiences in all these interesting places with all these, and met all these people over the years who we slowly whittled into a band, and things like that.
So where was the first break for you? You say break in inverted commas. Where do you think was the first significant opportunity
I,
or band?
I
Or you,
noticed things were going well in my first band, Matt, um, when we got to support Cardiacs, who at the time were my favourite band.
okay.
Um, and there was a fanzine called Organ who did a remarkable job of making us feel like we mattered a little bit.
Nice.
They released a single. That kind of all went a bit wrong in the end, but yeah, that's I think why I felt that maybe I wasn't wasting my time. And then I joined up with some other guys, and we sort of formed this band that became Supermodel. I was really very much just the bass player and doing backing
Okay.
vocals.
Okay.
The others kind of knew each other better, but I kind of joined in with them, and I
Mm,
sort of saw it as a real learning experience. They were great people to play with, and
lovely.
I still play with the drummer who went on to play in Departure Lounge, which is the other band that I still play in, Lindsay. And yeah, I mean, it was great. We went to America, we went around Europe, we did stuff. People put money up for us to go and record in Nashville for 5 weeks and
Oh,
all this
wow.
kind of stuff. So
Incredible. Okay.
there's this feeling that you could, it's worth pursuing,
Yeah, for sure.
and so, we're making all these connections at all these different places and playing South by Southwest, which is a music thing in Austin, Texas. And we played there about
Oh,
five
wow.
times.
Yeah.
5 times we did that. And then sort of joining up with things like the Flaming Lips car park experiment and just having an interesting life, hanging out with two of the guys in Blondie, the Clem and one of the other ones, keyboard player, and gig hopping with these guys who are sort of like really into their English music. It's like, but you're a legend. I can't, this is
Yeah.
weird.
I
So
love
you
it.
go to Nashville, and this is particularly happened in Departure Lounge, where we harnessed a lot of those contacts that we had made in Supermodel, but then in Departure Lounge, we sort of we spent more time in Nashville, and actually the other three guys in the band moved there for a little while.
Okay.
Well, I stayed in England because I had a baby and stuff like that, and so, or had I had a baby? Anyway, something was going on.
Okay.
Um, but then Lee Hazelwood started turning up to the concerts. This sort of
Whoa.
slightly drunk older guy. And it's like another, and Elvis's guitar player, and all of these people. Bob Dylan's pedal steel player, I think he joined us and stuff.
Excellent.
Stuff was These people are kind of like when you live in England and you're used to England, they're over there. They're kind
Yeah.
of like in
Yeah.
books and
Sure.
magazines. They don't
No,
really
don't
exist.
relate. No. Mhm.
But yeah, so yeah, Departure Lounge was a real moment where I was also taken seriously as a keyboard player. So I was a multi-instrumentalist in that band, and sort of, and it was a very shared experience, the writing experience. Still is. We're doing an album at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, we've nearly finished it.
Oh, okay.
So it's got Peter Buck playing on it as well from Unreal.
No.
So we've got provenance, if you like. I mean, if that's the right word.
Where
And
do
I
you
think
find?
there's a
Sorry,
sorry.
Chris. No, please carry on. Sorry.
So yeah, so Departure Lounge has been going, 25 5 years or so now. We had a few years off at one point, for about a decade, but we've never gone back over old stuff. It's always been about doing new things and looking forwards about what we can do next. But of course, when we all had young families, didn't really focus on that so much. We were doing our other stuff. I was starting with Crayola and doing that sort of thing as well, playing in other bands.